Plaintiff Tom Kyriakopoulos says when he met the defendant online, he had not yet come out of the closet to his friends and family. Tom claims he eventually came out to his parents, but the defendant wanted him to come out to everybody, which Tom was not ready to do. Tom is suing his ex-boyfriend for breach of contract. Defendant John Cross says he came out when he was 16 years old, and as a result, he struggled throughout high school as he heard his classmates whispering about him when he walked down the hall. John claims while dating Tom, he found explicit pictures Tom sent of himself to another man, and he insists he only agreed to repay Tom because he was badgering him.
Start with you.
All right, well, we had originally met online at the end of 2008. We were talking for a while, starting going into the beginning of January 2009. I hadn't yet come out as being gay, and that's when I had started the process of it, which for anyone who's gone through it knows that it's a very tough process. It's something that's a very personal process, and you have to go through it on your own terms.
How old were you?
I was 23, sorry.
And when you describe that on your own terms, knowing the process, why don't you elaborate on that, particularly for the young people who might be held hostage to homophobia. And that's essentially what it is. People don't want to come out because they'll be discriminated against. They'll be talked about or what have you. And so that's homophobia when you do that with homosexual folks. And so I want to hear, and so do others, what did you have to go through?
Absolutely. That's the thing, is that I come from a very conservative family, and so it was just a question of how I was going to tell them, who I was going to tell first. And, I had...
What was it like before that, before you decided to come out and you had to keep it a secret? You had to keep who you were a secret from the whole world. You had to pretend you were someone else. Isn't that kind of tough life?
Absolutely, because you're only showing a portion of who you really are. Even
with your parents didn't really know you.
No. They thought they knew me, and, obviously the whole time I knew that they didn't really know who I was.
That's hurtful, and you feel like you're not living the real life.
Of course, it seems a lot of it is surreal because, you have to hide. Not that, being gay defines who I am,
right,
but obviously it's a huge part of who I am.
Correct.
And so, coming out to them wasn't an easy process. I had to, to go through the, are you sure? How do you know for sure? Like, have you tried, if you had a girlfriend, have you tried anything? And it's a very tough process for them to go through. And
did they shun you though?
I wouldn't say shun. They were not happy at first. It wasn't a pleasant first experience, but it's a very long process. The process still goes on now, years later.
What process?
The process of them being able to understand who I am and how I'm trying to live my life, to kind of put themselves in my shoes and understand what I'm going through. And, the process in the very beginning was very, very rough. It was, a lot of, being upset, like my dad thought it was his fault, something he did, because he didn't understand it. He didn't comprehend it at all. And so, going through all of that is, not everyone was understanding. It took them a long time. My brother didn't understand it at first, and he kind of just had to walk away and said, I just can't deal with it right now. Not that he hated me or shunned me, but it was still something too much for him to handle. Of course, they made me feel like I was shunned, like, great, now I don't have my brother, he's not talking to me. So it took, a long time and, years really for him to even come around and understand and be somewhat normal and understanding with it.
My brother, my late brother, God bless his soul, he was gay. And we knew all of his life, or at least all of my life. He was 8 years older than me. And all of my life, the whole family knew, and my mother said she knew as of age like 5 or 6. And that has convinced me, along with science, the scientific evidence, that is primarily biological. And so there was never any rejection of my brother. He was my favorite brother. And I tell you this, even though we lived in a homophobic community, which much of the country was homophobic back then, 60s and 70s, if one person would say something about my brother, and we were in the tough homophobic community.
Yeah, these guys are
projects, right. We were in the tough housing projects, and if one person said anything, so after a few times, they know not to say anything about Stevie. Don't say nothing. He got 3 brothers who will rip you up Park. So he didn't go through that. So that's why I want to understand the hurt that folks who do have to go through that experience. And on the other hand, I want folks to know the people who don't experience that, such as my brother. He was openly gay. All our friends and family, no one ever said a thing. He was the happiest guy you want to know. Because everybody accepted him. Not tolerate. I don't even like this phrase. Well, we're tolerant. What do you mean tolerant? You don't have to tolerate me. Be accepting.
Right.
Anyhow, I'm preaching now. But this is one of society's most important issues right now, same-sex marriage. And I wish, or marriage equality as I refer to it, I wish I was a Supreme Court judge, because I'd certainly vote for marriage equality. Whatever I believe in, I believe that they're equal. So that's my stand, and I say that just to give some insight. And I know African Americans get somewhat offended, and perhaps when the civil rights struggle is compared to the modern day gay homosexual struggle, because they say, well, homosexuals were never slaves and were not forced over here and changed, but the principle is the same, discrimination. Go right ahead.
All right, as you know, John and I hit it off. We came to the terms that I had to come out to my parents because I didn't want to be hidden. I didn't want to be sneaky behind their backs, not telling them things, and them kind of wonder what's going on. Why is he being sneaky? And so that's part of it. And me coming out to my family and friends, it really wasn't enough for him because he wanted me to be as open as him. He came out at a younger age. He went through that. I was still getting there. Everybody has to come out, and I said it earlier, they come out like your own personal way, your own personal time. And so I had to do that much slower. And so I think a lot of that is, it really came down to, issues of insecurity, where he would constantly be asking me questions about who I was with and checking through my phone and making mountains out of molehills, things that I did not send or have any part of, things that were sent to me, but things that I did not know, that I was woken up and told about. I had no part in that.
You were just an innocent victim of other male admirers.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
You had to do with it. You couldn't help it that the man say, "Oh, last night was great." You're an innocent victim of a text.
I wasn't a part of it.
Yes, it was. He was commenting on it, saying, "Oh, that's hot,"
and that's where he was coming out and saying that you're cheating on me, you're doing all these things, and that's something that permeated throughout the whole relationship. It never went away.
What do you want to say about this? Was he a cheater?
Looking back, I wonder a lot, especially finding that.
Were you checking his phone?
Yeah, I was.
And were you seeing things?
Yes, I was. A friend of ours, actually was supposed to be a close friend of ours, a male friend, sent him a video of him masturbating, and Tom, his reply was, "Oh, that's hot." And he proceeds to send him pictures. Yeah,
I got to my phone before I even saw it.
No, your response to the video was, "That's hot." And then you proceeded to send him pictures. Yes, that is.
I did not send him pictures.
I'm not even going to argue with you right now.
You don't have to argue.
This is just funny.
You don't have to argue.
He would work out at work. Case in point, he would work out at work at the gym, and his thing was to send me pictures after his workout.
Okay, I send you pictures. That's
right.
Yeah,
that's not
cheating. That's
not cheating.
He's sending you
That's
pictures.
emotional cheating. You don't think that's cheating?
Sending you pictures of himself.
No, I mean, he was sending those same pictures to this guy who was supposed to be one of our friends.
To
he was
another
in a
person.
relationship himself.
Yeah, you're a cheater.
Absolutely.
Go ahead.
Absolutely not.
Well, you're sending pictures to other guys?
No.
Pictures
I sent
that were my
pictures to
kind of
him.
pictures.
Of course I sent pictures to him.
But didn't you say he sent it to other guys?
He sent it to that same person that sent him that masturbation
Did you
video.
do that?
I absolutely did not.
All right, he says he didn't. So that's it. My judgment is that he is not a cheater. Now, can we get to the money he's talking about? Do you want to give some background, and then we'll get to the contract? What did you have to go through during your process? Did you have to wait and come out later?
I knew from an early age, probably 4th, 5th grade. I didn't actually fully come out until I was 16. So I had to do the whole high school thing, walking down the halls and everybody whispering. I get it. I mean, I totally get it. But I met him through my roommate. I didn't know my roommate at the time. He dated Tom. They dated for a while. He's bragging, "Oh, I'm I was dating this hot guy, da-da-da-da-da. He's from out by Chicago, smart, intelligent, hot, this Greek god. I'm thinking, all right. So he introduces me over Skype to Tom, and it was just like a quick hi, like sort of thing. My roommate then goes out, and I hear the computer going off, and it's him Skyping me. And from there, it kind of just steamrolled. We started talking to each other on the phone a couple hours a day, like texting back and forth all day. Ended up out here. I was totally, fully expecting a relationship, and he knew that. I came out here on those terms, that we were gonna be each other's support system, basically. And
You moved?
from Ohio. I'm originally from Ohio.
And you
yes.
moved to be with him here
I
in
moved
Illinois?
here to be with him, yes.
All right, now why are you suing him? What's the breach of contract for?
Well, a lot of it comes down to over the course of that year, in different amounts, different events, I lent him $8,000. It was over $8,000, and we agreed on $8,000.
In 1 year? Where you get that kind of money?
Well, that's the problem, is that, it's money that I had, or it was putting things on credit cards, with places to help for him to live with rent. It was his place, and I was visiting, and that comes down to the whole part of I wasn't completely out. So I was out to my family and friends, but I still had my life at home.
Right.
And he didn't understand that. So I didn't live there, but I was willing to pay half the rent. But I ended up paying a good portion of his rent. And I worked out an agreement for him so he could get a car, so he could find a second job and not just work part-time at Subway. So I helped him pay for a scooter and insurance, and the scooter got messed up. It was broken. I helped it get fixed. I paid for it. I bought him a cell phone. I helped him pay the bill for the cell phone. I paid a retainer fee and attorney fees.
For what?
For him to retain an attorney for a case that he had from back when he was a minor.
You have itemized, seems like you're going over a list. You have itemized
Sure.
a list of things that you're suing for. All right, what do you have to say to this, sir?
I mean,
We spent $8,000 on you in 1 year.
What can I say? We were a part of a relationship. He knew when I came out there, or when I came out
Right.
here rather, that I didn't have a job. He knew that I didn't have any savings. I moved out here to be together with him.
And he agreed to help supplement?
Exactly. I mean, that's what a relationship's
Did
about.
you agree to repay?
To an extent, yes.
What extent?
To the extent that everything that we agreed on, me paying back,
Okay.
I would pay back.
And did you agree to at least $5,000 of repayment?
Your Honor.
Yes.
Because that's what he's suing you for today. What do you
I
have?
signed that under duress. I don't
Let's
even
see
know
it,
why.
please.
We're pulling that up. Is it notarized?
Time he hands me something, suddenly it was under duress.
Yeah, because he was badgering me the entire time.
What
to
did he do
sign
exactly?
that. Constantly. Well, I'm going to draw this up. You're going to sign it right. You're going to sign it right. And then
We were
come to
still
find out,
together.
he really had. Yeah, we were still together for like 4 days. 3 days before that, he has me sign that, and then it's bye. I can't do this anymore. You got to figure out what you're
That
going
was
to do. You're
smart.
gonna
Get
stay
your
here?
money before you
Right.
leave. That's
I'll give him
smart.
that.
But Your Honor, if that was only the case, then, I have text messages here, and as late as October 18th of 2012, he tells me, please know that I haven't forgotten the money issue.
Let's see it.
And he also says, and that's the thing, is that later on he says, are you single? And I said, no. He goes, never mind. Crickets. Crickets, Your Honor. Crickets. Didn't hear from him again.
So he was ready to pay, trying to get back in the door. But once you told him you wasn't single, you said, I'm not giving you your money. Got it. It's exactly what you say. Are you single? He says, no. Okay, never mind.
That was because
$5,000 to the plaintiff. You signed an agreement, and you even reinforced that agreement in 2012 when you all last spoke. Judgment for the plaintiff. Good luck to you, gentlemen. I'm glad that you're living your life as you are, and don't let any of these homophobes out here who have their own beliefs affect you. Folks who have their own beliefs, keep your own beliefs. That's your beliefs. Some folks think that polygamy is all right. I don't, but I don't come down on people that are polygamous. That's fine. That's your way of life. Good. Have fun. I don't care what you do. My wife won't let me, so. Judgment for the plaintiff. Have a good day.
obviously he's going to get his money and he can leave me alone.
Nothing. That's the thing, is that it was a bone of contention from us from a long time, and when you just don't even talk about it, I gave him 3 years to give me some sort of notification, heard absolutely nothing about it until 6 months ago. I said, okay, you'll be paid soon. Found out that I wasn't single, and nothing.